Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from the entitled People subreddit, has a couple of updates with it. It's from IR Hun and it says entitled X ghosted my friend, then demands a room in our house. This isn't my ex, but my best friend's ex. She and I have been friends for years and live together now, and we live with my parents who adore her like their own daughter. I got her permission to post this. My friend, 30 female, came to the US from Latin America at 19 as a student. She also started dating her ex, 29 male, after many years of hanging out with each other, both during vacations and online. I knew them both since high school and they seemed good together. She tried to convince him to move together a few years before their breakup. He was living with his parents who wanted him to leave. At this point, she had already finished college and had a job in the US that granted her a visa. He had quit college and worked part-time. From what I can gather, he didn't want to leave his parents' place because free food and no rent. So instead, she asked me if I wanted to move with her so we could afford a bigger place. I said yes, and we moved in together. Adopted a cat and a dog and pretty much became Grace and Frankie. Around the start of the pandemic, things got bad for them. This is what I was told and what I saw. They never talked or hung out or anything. I was in a breakup at that time myself, so I wasn't really on top since I had my own issues, but my friend cried so much. She didn't even get a happy birthday. After a year of no contact, she assumed the relationship was over. She changed all her social media to single, which he could see, took him off her emergency contacts at work and at her doctor's, and just moved on with her life. This year, my stepdad's health has gone downhill, and my mum needs help caring for him. She works full-time as a therapist. I work from home and my job is very flexible, so I put in the idea of us all living together and I'll care for my dad. Eventually, I'll care for my mum too. My mum loved the idea and asked my bestie if she wanted to move in with us too so we could all be together, and also because at this point, I can't see myself not being in the same house as her. We've come to terms in being single ladies. Heck, we've joked that one of us should adopt and we become a parent/aunt dynamic. And now the joke is more serious since I'm considering it and she's incredibly supportive. No, we're not dating. She's straight, I'm bi. We're just incredibly close after all the BS we've lived through together. We found the perfect house. 4-bedroom, 2.5 bathrooms. Enough space, a yard, everything we need, and we got it after a bunch of difficulties and arrangements. Since I don't have immediate plans for adopting yet, I have a ton of paperwork and years of planning ahead. We made the extra room in our office/gaming hub. We both work at the same place, totally not on purpose. They were hiring and we both needed visas. And as proud first-time homeowners, we posted pictures. Her ex, who by this point has been missing in action for 3 years, messaged her saying he was so excited to move into the new house. She told him this was her house with me and my parents. He said since they were a couple, she should kick me and my parents so he could move in. I want to point out that my parents bought the house. We, friend and I, will pay them our parts over the years. And if she decides to move out, I'll finish paying and buy her out. This is all in paper and signed. So she obviously told him he was not moving with us and that he ghosted her, so there was no relationship. He went on a tirade that he never broke up with her, that she was abandoning him, that she never cared about him, etc. I got pissed off, took the phone from her and told him he could live in a bear cave for all I care, but to leave my friend and our house alone. He went ballistic and began calling us some names, referring to the LGBTQ+ community that would probably get this post flagged, so I'll leave it to your imagination. My friend started crying and I was obviously done with him. I never thought he was abusive, but my friend confessed to me that this was not new. He always had issues with the two of us living together and accused her often of cheating on him with me. We ended the call and I told her she needed to block him for her own sanity's sake. She deserves so much better than this man-child. She got me to leave my abusive ex when I was in high school. She took me to the hospital when he beat me up and called my parents. My friend is family and I'll be dead before I let some bastard with commitment issues make her suffer. Since then, he's gone on a major campaign in our friend group to say my friend abandoned him and left him homeless since he cancelled his lease after he saw we bought a house. He also claims we're lesbian Satanists that probably abuse our pets and are mooching off my parents. Most of my friends know the story, and then my friend and I moved together, at first out of necessity. Then we just don't see ourselves not living together. So yeah, my friend's ex is a nutcase, and if he ever gets close to her again, I will personally give him a free vasectomy. OP gives their first little update in the same post and says, "Hey everyone. A bit quick on the update, but some people asked if our friends knew where the ex was hiding for 3 years, and I was actually curious. Since I was down for the count at work today, I had time to check with my friends and find out more. Apparently my bestie did ask them, but they didn't know. From what they tell me, he kinda got back into everyone's life in the last year or so. But he was part of the group because they were bestie's friends, not really his. I don't personally know many of his own friends, to be fair. I did track down the ex's sister thanks to social media and poked her for info. She's very nice and always treated my bestie right. I told her what her brother did, and her response was very interesting. Apparently, the ex was dating other girls until his parents decided to move outside the US. He's now living on a friend's couch. The last she heard was a couple of days past when they went out for coffee. He was saying he got this brand new house and was going to be moving in this week. As far as she knew, my bestie begged him to take her back and let her live in his house. I did correct her and said that no, bestie is living with me and my parents in our new house. Her reaction was, of course he lied, and just thanked me for letting her know he was bullshitting. Aside from that, I do want to report we are safe. He doesn't know where we live, and most people don't because we're not really ready to open Pandora's box, having friends come over. We also need time to figure out who we want in the know. We won't be going to the police unless something serious happens, just because this is technically not a crime. But we're going to keep recordings and print text conversations. If he tries anything, we have all of our papers in order, and just in case I plan on contacting our company's HR so they know the situation. The company we work for can provide us free legal counsel if things get bad. Now, we do have some more updates on this in a second, and I'm just going to focus on the ex in this situation because I did have some, if I'm being totally honest, I did have some thoughts on, the financial entanglement between OP, a friend, the parents as well. I just thought it could potentially get messy, but in the ex in this situation, the guy ghosted for 3 years, then expected to just come back into friend's life and claim a room in the house that he had absolutely nothing to do with. That's odd behavior, isn't it? It just sounds like he's out there somewhere living in some kind of fantasy world where he thinks the friend is desperately waiting for his return, which I think is scary, especially when you don't know what he's up to, what he's doing, and he's got this kind of mindset. But Angry Pothead says, wait, so 3 years later, he's like, can't wait to be with my girlfriend I haven't talked to or seen in years. That's next level entitlement. Militant Ignorance says, not the arsehole. I bet he didn't cancel his lease. I bet his parents kicked him out, which is why he wanted someone else to mooch off. Bazjaz says, wow, 3 years after ghosting and he has the audacity of claiming that he's moving in. I'm beside myself. I did laugh when he claimed that he's going to kick you and your parents to the curb and he cancelled his lease. Block him from everything you can imagine, and I hope your bestie doesn't get soft for the SOB. I wish you all the best. So sometime later, OP comes in with a new post that says my friend's entitled X turns into a stalker. Well, it seems like I'm stuck in a saga now. I have full permission from my friend to share this, link to the original post, and shares the link. As my first post said, my friend's ex ghosted her and then decided to try and move in with her, and by extension, me, after years of no contact. My friend told him where he can go. For a bit, it was actually pretty calm. She did cut contact and block him as many suggested, and between the two of us, my bestie and I did some culling in our friend group of people we knew were passing information to her ex. We've settled in the new house together and she actually gets along better with my parents sometimes than I do. Guess she's the golden child now. Sadly, eventually we had to adult and get much needed food. We went to Walmart in town together and by some bad luck we crossed paths with her ex. I wish all of it was just awkward glances and each on their own way. But no, at first he tried to talk to her. My friend said she didn't want to speak to him and didn't want him near her. I mostly reminded him I wanted to rip his spine and beat him to death with it. Sadly, that didn't deter him from following us around like the most obnoxious toilet paper stuck to shoe. We did our shopping and headed to the car with him still after us. I told my friend for her to get in the car and start the gear, and lock it while I loaded the groceries. Her ex then decided to appeal to me to talk to my friend about taking him back. I don't know what power held me back from committing a felony, but I'm pretty sure I earned a PhD in self-control. I told him in no uncertain terms where he could put his reconciliation, and that if he keeps following us, I will make sure his legs were out of the equation. I got in the car and my friend began driving back when we noticed a car following us. And we knew it was following us because the direction we were going was not usual. To rule out a possible neighbor, we actually did a full U-turn almost back to the store, stopped to get some fast food, ate in the parking lot, then headed back home. And the same car was after us. Now, as much as I talk of violence, I have to admit I was terrified. So was my friend. Neither of us has a gun permit. Best we carry is a can of pepper spray. And we know how her ex does have guns. So yeah, we were not comfortable at that point. Instead, we headed past our neighborhood and, following the usual advice from TV, drove to a police station. Once in it, we did write a statement and I got scolded about the confrontation in Walmart's parking lot. The reason we know it's her ex was because when we got home, she got a call from him on a new number saying, "I know where you live now." We immediately called the police, so that's where we stand. Cops just left a few minutes ago, and my brother is going to be staying over for a few weeks until we get the restraining order and some sturdier locks. Also, I want to clarify a few things. A lot of people asked why originally my friend took a whole year of being ghosted to accept the relationship was over. Well, I get it, trust me. Please understand that when my friend came to the US, she had no one. She cut contact with her toxic family. She literally only had her ex. I moved into the US a year later and also came alone at first, but my parents were able to become citizens and I had them. When her relationship died out, she lost not just her boyfriend, but his family, who pretty much were as close to her own family as she could get. It's not easy, and I personally can't imagine how lonely she felt. I could spend Christmas with my parents. She had one for that first year. So please don't judge her on it, because she doesn't deserve it. It's not easy to be an immigrant when you have no place to return to. I wanted to do an update, but I haven't had the time. Thank you for all your well wishes and advice. We've certainly taken measures for security. We're working with the police, who have been absolutely great the whole process and are helping Bestie to get that restraining order. But now we have my brother using our couch. He's ex-military and has a gun permit, so we feel comfortable with him home. We still have no idea what's going on with friend's ex, and to be sincere, aside from focusing on our safety, I didn't have time to play Scooby-Doo. I did send a message to his sister warning her that we will press charges if he keeps creeping on us. We also did find an AirTag hidden in the car's bumper. It was immediately removed and turned into the police. Other than that, we're doing fairly good, enjoying the space in the yard, and to our new French aunt, we absolutely love to have you as family. So Opie comes in with another post, which is titled, "My best friend's ex-mother-in-law demands my friend become a submissive wife to her stalker's son." This is an ongoing mess with my female 29 best friend's female 30 ex-male 29, and now her ex-mother-in-law. I have her permission to post this. Now, my bestie never married her ex, but for simplicity's sake, I refer to her ex's parents as ex-mother-in-law and ex-father-in-law. Bestie and I live together with my parents in a newly bought house. She's pretty much a daughter to my parents, and we are platonic life partners by this point. Her ex ghosted her for 3 years, and he's been hounding her ever since he found out we bought a house, trying to get her to take him back and live in our house. We tried reaching to the police, but since nothing serious has happened, we've reached a wall and can only wait. Her ex-in-laws no longer live in the US, but they did come for Thanksgiving. Though my bestie is no longer dating their son, she offered to pick them up at the airport and take them to their hotel. The reason I was told was they would do that for her when she was in college. I didn't like it since her ex is a problem, but she wanted to use the chance to ask her ex's parents to intervene and maybe get him off her back. I still didn't like it, but I figure they probably were okay based on how she described them. And I was completely wrong. My bestie arrived in tears and with a scratched cheek. Immediately asked her what happened, and now I'm seeing red. The next part comes from how my bestie described things to me. Bestie told me picking them up went well, and they had talked about the old days. They asked my bestie if they could stop in a nearby restaurant they always liked, and Bestie, being her usual self, decided to treat them to lunch. All hell broke loose at the restaurant though. Apparently her ex-mother-in-law demanded to know why Bestie did not take her abusive stalker ex back. According to my ex-mother-in-law, my bestie is responsible for her baby boy since she is his first girlfriend, and they were married in the eyes of God. To start, they never legally married, and Bestie is an atheist, so yeah. Bestie tried to defuse the situation, explaining she moved on with her life after 3 years not knowing where he was. She did try to ask her ex-mother-in-law to convince her son to leave her alone, and that Bestie just doesn't want him in her life anymore. Ex-father-in-law seemed to agree with her and apologized for all the heartache and pain she went through. Ex-mother-in-law, however, took the conversation and began screaming that thanks to my bestie, her son had no life. That apparently my bestie was responsible for her firstborn not having a wife or children. The least she could do is take responsibility and become the submissive wife he deserved. Ex-father-in-law tried to pull his wife away, more than likely because they were causing a very public scene. Bestie simply said she would not ever consider marriage to her ex. She then said it might be best to take the food to go and for them to go to the hotel. She paid all the food, despite ex-father-in-law offering to cover his and his wife's meal, and drove them to the hotel. At the hotel is where things went from 1 to 100. Ex-mother-in-law had spent the whole drive escalating demands, from taking him back to marrying him and have a child and give her son the house as the man in the relationship. Ex-father-in-law apparently kept telling her to stop, but there was no way she could be quiet. Finally, my bestie had enough, stopped the car and told ex-mother-in-law she will never take a failure of a man like her baby boy as a husband, let alone give birth to his spawn. That she was glad no other woman had stayed long-term with him, since he really won't be a good addition to the gene pool. I gotta admit, I'm proud of her for the last one. Ex-mother-in-law went crazy and jumped on my friend. Her husband luckily grabbed her, but she still managed to get my friend on the cheek. She began screaming she was the reason her family had split, called her a slur, and said she wished our house burnt with all of us inside. Ex-father-in-law just told my friend to drop their bags on the sidewalk and drive away while he held back his demon of a wife. And Bestie did exactly that. Next thing she did was drive back to us. She was not so much hurt by the insults or even the attack, but more the notion of the woman that she once saw as a second mother would treat her like this. I told her to just relax a bit. So she's watching some movies with the dogs while I write this and do some work. Tomorrow we're both calling out and just having a girls' day with my mum. I did get in touch with the ex's sister and let her know what had happened. She already knew from her dad and asked me if Bestie was pressing charges. She should, but she's not. I tried to convince her, but it's a sore topic for her, so for her emotional well-being I'm not going to push it. The sister said she appreciates we're not pressing charges and that she will make sure her family doesn't bother us in any way. Apparently she already had her brother moved outside the city. Not sure how or where, but I'm glad he's gone. So hopefully, we're done. We're going to avoid going out too often until we know the ex-monster-in-law is gone from the city. It's not a small city by any means, but I wouldn't put it past these crazies to try and stalk my bestie. Another little update in the same post says, after Thanksgiving dinner, my mum sat with my bestie to have a serious talk. She told her she didn't want to diagnose her, but she was showing clear signs that she needed help and therapy could be an option. They had a discussion about it and my friend agreed to seek professional help. Since she lives with my mum, she's not an option, but my mum is going to help her find someone. We just came from filing a police report. My friend won't press charges, but we made a paper trail to ensure that it's at least on record. She apologized for not doing it immediately and for going to meet her ex-in-laws. I told her I understand she's going through a lot of things. We'll see how things go. But she's like a sister to me, and I refuse to let her go through it alone. As for people saying I have feelings for her, please stop. Like seriously stop. She's my family, and I don't see her in any romantic or sexual way. It's annoying that people assume just because I'm bi and have a strong friendship, it means I have romantic feelings. And to the person who made a comment about her ex-in-laws being entitled or Muslim, that is inappropriate and extremely racist. It's the same mentality that my friend and I have to constantly deal with because we're Hispanics. I seriously dislike people like this. And another small update in the same post saying, just a small update. My bestie found a therapist and is working things out. Since she just started, there's no big, she's all better and back to how she was change. This will probably take months, but my parents and I will support her the whole way. We haven't heard from this psycho ex-mother-in-law or her son, though the ex-sister-in-law sent us a message via a mutual friend that her parents were gone and would never hear from them or the rest of her family again. I sent her a message back thanking her, but I also hope this is the last interaction we ever have. One of the things my parents and I put our foot down was that Bestie had to block everyone from that family in all her social media, and she agreed. We did go again to the police, but it was to sweep the domestic matter mindset. We're still pushing to get a restraining order, and hopefully we'll get a date for court sometime next year. The process is very lengthy. And the comments below this one were basically suggesting that this isn't going to be the end of this story, and that, best friend should absolutely be pressing charges because it might expedite the restraining order as well. Because currently he's facing no consequences for his escalating behavior. And let's face it, it was escalating. It went from some bizarre batshit logic of coming back into your life 3 years after no contact and ghosting, wanting to get back with you because you got a house now, to then eventually full-on stalking, putting trackers on your car, following you, texting you. He knows where you live now. So yeah, people saying absolutely should be pressing charges on this one to at least try and get that restraining order in place. Other people questioning the friend and saying that, she seriously needs some professional help to get back involved with those in-laws like that was an unwise move. And some other people just saying, I'm glad that they're out of your life and hopefully they do stay out of your life from this point forward. But what do you guys make of this situation? Do you think that's the end of it? Do you think it will escalate further? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being involved. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.